Good morning, Boker Tov. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero, Ways of Israel, and starting this morning with a fresh cup of coffee. So allow me to say a bracha over the coffee or before drinking. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol hiya bidvaro. It tastes so good. Good morning, and we're going to continue our series this morning with Sefer Haikkarim. But before I get started, there's a couple of things I would like to share with you, which is very disturbing for many of you as well, seeing what is happening here in our country, in the United States, as well as abroad in Israel. A lot of the liberal leftists, a large number, which Israel does have, protesting in the streets over the judicial reform taking place in Israel. All I can say is that the judicial reform is going to bring balance to the country. Some are looking at it as a takeover of power, which is not the case. Number one, Israel does not have a constitution. And that is one of the biggest problems I see. But even here in the United States, that we have a constitution, it has been overridden by liberal leftist politicians, many of which unfortunately happen to be of Jewish ancestry, and it seems that this is plaguing the entire world. And I'm saying this because I am very much concerned as what I'm seeing and how this can lead up to further anti-Semitic attacks as a result of the policies that our people are pushing forward upon the world, which is completely anti-Torah, anti-Judaism, anti-biblical in every aspect, and therefore really anti-human rights. And yet they're embracing it with a flag that is completely contrary to our values. And there's no rabbis talking about that because they all want to put wet towels over the issue so not to offend their congregants, their people that basically support them. This is one of the reasons that, yes, I do ask for support, but I don't have to couch down to the general population who goes against Torah values. We leaders need to stand up for what is right and not bend over when the people want something and push something forward that is wrong. This is the problem that we have in this country as well as in Israel. Unfortunately, Israel has taken in many of the liberal, leftist, communist, socialist progressives and have destroyed the whole society from within. And what Bibi Netanyahu and other politicians, which are more to the conservative and to the right, is bring what made America great and make Israel even greater. And thus the populace is basically buffing because they want the same liberal leftist American values there that we now are fighting here to try to survive. And we're fighting against it, not for it. But unfortunately we have a lot of rabbis in the medium now that are pushing this liberal leftist agenda, one which will destroy and has no support in Torah. Even our greatest federations and other Jewish institutions push forward this agenda of the left. And a person who may be sitting among them that have a voice and opinion toward the right is completely hushed up, canceled, which is exactly what this whole entire movement is all about, is to cancel the voice of opposing views, something which made America great in the first place. And we're seeing that hushing is taking place even from the top levels of our federal government. It's been proven already that this current administration, this current Democrats have been hushing the voices of those of us who are to the conservative and to the right. And they've been doing it by such instruments as social media that basically say hush the sky up, and they bring down the shadow ban the person. And I've seen a low level of shadow banding with my videos as a result, because I am going to keep on speaking. I hope you share it, Because the only way to overcome the shadow banning is when you share the videos and it goes back and forth. We know it's taking place. We know behind the scenes of these type of social platforms, they're still doing it. There's no law that's been put yet by the federal government to punish social media for doing this. So we are at a disadvantage, and the only way we can overcome that is by people like you who basically embrace the same concepts and ideas of Torah and share it to the maximum, to all your friends, even those who are not towards the right. Because the main people that need to hear it are those that are not toward the right. And unfortunately, those are a lot. You might say they have become an overwhelming public presence in dominating and controlling the media to this day. Even our legacy media. And I'm speaking about the NBC, I'm speaking about ABC, especially ABC, which is a Disney company, which is all completely blown woke. Okay? These are the companies that are destroying America from within. I don't support Disney. I used to. I don't support ABC. I don't support any of the medias that basically are tearing apart the American family value, the idea of God, nation, and peace-loving Americans. I don't support it. We should oppose it. And obviously we're seeing what's going on with even the political, how they basically militarized and politicized all different mediums in order to hush people up, cancel them out, to put them in jail. I can't fathom that we still have hundreds and hundreds of people who basically just were at the January 6th, and they're still sitting in jail, rotting and being abused by our own government. This is not a government that I can ever recall. It's becoming every day more of a banana republic. And unfortunately, those who speak out are basically curtailed and brought under. Well, enough with the shtus for the morning, and I do apologize if any of you don't like the politics with the religion, but the fact is they both go together, because it has to do with ideologies and concepts of morality and philosophies of right and wrong. And what our current government is doing is completely wrong, and I oppose it with the very inner parts of my being. And you should too, unless you want a system of government that is watching you every second where you go. That's not the type of America I want to live under. And I'm sure many Americans don't want to live under either. I applaud DeSantis for what he's doing in imposing this whole idea of the CBCD, the new currency that they're trying to push on all of us, that they can track you everywhere you go, see what you buy, what you don't buy, and be able to curtail it like they do in China. Don't be surprised if all of a sudden all the banking systems go under. Don't be surprised. It's been warned already. They're working at and towards that goal to destroy this economy, to bring you to boredom. Well, enough is with my commentaries on that, but it's very upsetting early in the morning to see that our own people are succumbing to the ideologies of the wokeism, of the bending down of the knees to other deities and other gods and other systems, except to the God of Israel. And that does bother me. It bothers me immensely. Well, Rabbi Albo deals with the idea of the one God on a philosophical plane, and reasons why, and we're now in chapter 13, book 2. The difference in numbers of functions are due to one of three causes. They may be due to a difference in the active faculties. Thus, the activity of faculty or of desire is different from that of the faculty of anger. The difference may be due to a difference in the matter. The fire melts the pitch and hardens salt. Finally, the difference may be due to a difference in the instruments. Thus, a tailor sews with a needle and cuts with the scissors. But the activity of God cannot be multiplied through any one of these causes, because he is one and simple. in whom there is no plurality of faculties or difference or of matter or variety of instruments. The multiplicity can therefore only be due to something else besides things, namely the intermediate. Now that is, there emanates from him first a single being, and from this one there emanates another, and from this other a third, as we explained in the previous chapter, in chapter 11, says Rabbi Albo, so that the intermediate beings increase and plurality arises through them. The outside of this way, and they say it's impossible to conceive real plurality coming from God, who is absolutely one, for from the one only one thing can come. But a difficulty arises against this explanation. It necessarily follows that there cannot be a thing composed of different elements, but all existing things must be units, each produced by one above it, which is its cause. But we do find that the body is composed of matter and form, and man is composed of a body and a soul, and that one being the cause of others, else one would not exist without the other. But the two of them being due to the third cause, plurality cannot therefore arise in this way. Ibn Sina and other Arab philosophers have elaborated a way of producing plurality out of a series of intermediate beings in the matter suggested above, saying that there is some plurality in every one of the emanations, and thus understanding that oneself is something different from understanding one's cause. And understanding oneself and one's cause is different than the conception of oneself as a possible existence qua oneself, since one's existence is dependent upon another. In this way, they say plurality can come in, as we said in chapter 11. But Al-Ghazali knocked this idea on the head when he said that these are merely intellectual conceptions, not separate things able to produce other separate existence. Moreover, if plurality can arise from such conception, there is no need of many emanations, for we can conceive multiplicity arising from the first cause without the need of the others, and thus knowledge of himself is something different from his necessary existence and from knowledge that he is a principle of other things. Now, if these conceptions exist in the first cause without inducing plurality in him, why cannot the beings which emanates from him be in the same case? Then the question arises again, where does plurality come? The truth is that the conception mentioned do not induce plurality either in the first principle or in the beings which emanates from it, so as to account for the different existence which are caused by them. And if so, we ask again, how does plurality come from simple unity? This is the reason why among the ancients there were some who thought there were two original principles, one good, one evil. For they said, out of the mouth of the Most High proceeds not evil and good, meaning it's impossible that the contradictory principles should be combined in one. And seeing that the most general contradictories, including all species of contradictions, are good and evil, they said that there are two principles, one principle of good and the other principle of evil. This is what's understood in the theological realm as the duality or dualism. This was an opinion of persons whose name was Mani, and his followers are called Manichaeans, in the same way as those who follow the opinions of the philosopher Epicurus, who thought that the world has no rulers and denied the existence of God, and are called Epicureans. Philosophers also have disputed this view in many ways. The best and clearest of arguments against this dualism, so far as concerns the purpose of this book, says Rabbi Albo, is this: if we reflect upon existing things of the world, we'll find that they all together tend to one end, namely the order which exists in the world, like the order existing in the camp, which emanates from the military commander, and the order existing in the states, which emanates from the rulers. Now in these cases, though there is multiplicity of various kinds, namely many different arts and activities and different offices, nonetheless, we regard the state of the camp as one, because the end to which they all tend is one, namely the stability and the order of the state or camp. And so we say that the world has in it good and evil, so that the existence as a whole may be good. Evil is not intended for its own sake. It arises by accident, like punishment or chastisement inflicted by the Father upon the Son, which is evil for the sake of good, and not intended for its own sake. For since good things exist, it's imperative that a little evil should be mixed with the good. Thus man is composed of this rational and animal soul, which are good and evil inclinations. The good inclination was placed in man to secure the survival of the individual so far as possible in the immortality of the soul, while the evil inclination was implanted in him to secure the survival of the species, without which man cannot exist. This wisdom of the Most High decreed that it is fitting that there should be a great good, even though a little evil must be mixed with it. For it stands to reason that it is better to have a great plus a little evil than to lose the great good in order to avoid the little evil. It does not follow, therefore, from the existence of good and evil that they come from different principles. For it is quite possible that from one principle good comes for its own sake, and evil per accident. Thus fire is the cause of good to all the sublunar existence in the genesis of all things, and evil yet comes from it sometimes when by accident it burns the garment of a good man. In the same way, there are things which, though in themselves bad, are tolerated for the sake of the good which may come from them, like penalties enacted by the founders of good codes of law, which, though bad in themselves, are enacted for the sake of the general good which will follow for the nation or the state as a whole, that man may be guided to happiness by uniting one with another in perfect manner, and establish a perfect society consisting of different kinds of people, like human bodies, which has a different member and different controlling organs and qualities opposed to one another, and yet all of them are intended for one purpose, namely the duration of the unity of the body, and it also has things injurious to the body, which are due to the matter and cannot be avoided. The ancient philosophers were therefore all agreed, as Ibn Rushd says, that there is one principle in the absolute sense of the word one, and that by it all various things of existence were ordered first for one purpose, the permanence of all existence and the complete union of its parts, so that the existence may be unified into a complete unit, as the head of state assigns certain persons to do to a given work and no other, that it may be done in a perfect manner, and assigns other people to do another kind of work exclusively, and so on with different kinds of work. Thus he makes some to be tailors, some to be weavers, some to be builders, and in this way are completed all the arts needed in the state, and the order of the state is perfected, and yet all many arts come from the one first head, though he is absolutely one. In the same way, though God is absolutely one, he is the cause of plurality, without this necessitating plurality in his essence. And they say that the preposition from one can come only one is a dialectical judgment, which is applicable indeed to a particular and concrete agent, whereas in the case of God, who is the universal general agent, the term agent, as applied to him and to others, is a homonym, for he cannot be identified with one act rather than another, seeing that his relations in the same are to all acts. And we say that he does many different specific acts for the sake of perfect unity. An example, in order that all parts of nature may be combined into one, and that the many existences may tend to one purpose, the permanence of existence. In the same way as the rational soul in man, though one, does different acts for one purpose, the permanent existence of man, in this way God orders only one act, the universal order, which contains a plurality of elements so as to unite all the parts of existence together. These philosophers also say that there is simple existence which are independent of matter and are related to each other as cause and effects. The series going back to one simple cause. The plurality of bodies arises from the plurality of principles in order to unite all the parts of existence one to the other. If this plurality did not exist, existence would be defective, and there would not be a one perfect end which actually is realized. So we find different motions in the spheres because of the different principles from which they come. At the same time, they all have one general motion, embracing everything. This disunal motion to show that they have one principle. They all go back to one cause, and that all the different motions are for one end. Ibn Rushd says that God commanded the principle to a given order to the spheres to make motions that we see in them, and that the heavens and the earth were established by the command of God, in the same way as by the command of the first ruler of the country, that subjects of the king's command the arrangements are controlled by those whom the king appoints to take charge of some of the political matter or some classes of men. This command and belief is a principle of the command and belief which behooves a man to hold, by virtue of his being a rational animal. This is the substance of the word of Ibn Rushd concerning the matter in his book, Destructionis. It will be seen that after all that has been said, we must admit the persistence of heaven and earth is due to the command and admonition and not to necessity. For it is inconceivable that a material thing should come from absolute, simple, immaterial intellect through necessity. It can come only through a command, which necessarily indicates creation in time. And this means that the world came to be and endures through the will of a being possessing a will, as we said in the 3rd chapter of this book. It almost seems that as if the truth compelled him to make this admission. The result we have reached, whether according to Ibn Sina and Maimonides, or according to the opinion of Ibn Rushd, who writes in the name of the ancient philosophers, is that plurality of things existing in this world is due to the series of intermediate beings, and not to plurality existing in the first principle, whose unity is simple and absolute sense of the word. This is the reason that we are told in the Bible, please listen, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." The meaning is that we should believe that though he is our God, the cause of plurality, he is nevertheless one in the absolute meaning of the word. This will suffice in the explanation of the dogma of unity and other matters depending upon it, so as not to induce plurality in the essence of God. And we have now begun to treat the second dogma of incorporeality. In other words, now Rabbi Albo begins to deal with the issue of incorporeality, because the idea of incorporeality, that is God becoming a man, and this idea of plurality, which was both present in Christianity and in many forms of Hasidic thought, are basically rebuffed by Rabbi Albo in the 14th chapter. And the reason why we're dealing with Rabbi Albo in this matter, because not all the rabbis agreed. We had different points of view. And here we see that the issue of incorporeality, although it was pushed by some of the rabbis of our times and of previous times, is something that is rebuffed not only by the Rambam, but also, as we will see, by Rabbi Joseph Albo as we enter into the 14th chapter. Keep in mind, Rabbi Albo is dealing with issues and concepts that he's rebuffing the Christianity of his time, and the thought waves, the thoughts which produced the idea of a trinity or a multiplicity of plurality of the Godhead in one person making itself into human form. And this, we'll see in chapter 14, he begins to deal with it and break down the reason why God is not a corporal being, or in the idea that God is not a human being. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of a man that he should he should change his mind. So these things we'll be taking a look at in the next chapter of chapter 14 of Rabbi's album, Sefer Haikkarim. And I do pray you be with us on this, because he will talk about the idea how God is a jealous God, avenging God. The Lord avenges and is full of wrath. The Lord taketh vengeance on his adversaries. And this whole concept that he is very zealous of who he is and denies the idea of a bodily accident or corporeal affection. So this idea that God inhabits in human clothing, although God can do what he wishes to do, he can manifest himself as he wishes, yet is contrary to the concept of unity of God within Judaism. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero, and please support the ways of Israel and share this video to the gazoos. And this way you help with what we're doing throughout these mediums. Shalom, shalom. Have a wonderful day, and may God bless you. And remember, be part of the ways of Israel. Contribute what you can, and we will appreciate it greatly. This way we can continue with our work on a daily basis, sharing Torah throughout the world, and hopefully touch those who need to hear that word in its proper moment. Shalom, shalom.